How's it going, everybody? It's Pride here, and welcome back to another Code Vein video. So I did want to talk a little bit about some of the gameplay that was released. Specifically, I am going to be showing and talking about the gameplay that I saw from GameSpot. If you want to watch the full video, you can without my dumb commentary. It is in the description. So first of all, I just want to say the gameplay is not the greatest, the player is not the greatest, but you know, kind of some slack. It is a demo, and I'm sure he doesn't play this game or games similar to this very often. So, you know, obviously people who are watching this are most likely interested in Dark Souls games, and don't worry, I'll get into that. So odds are we play these type of games on a consistent basis, and I'm sure he doesn't. So, you know, just cut him some slack. So yeah, Code Vein, basically a new Souls-like, you know, somewhere around there. And I know people fucking hate that. I don't know why people hate calling this a Souls-like game. I mean, it is. If you look at the comment section for the GameSpot video, there's so many people being like, stop comparing it to Dark Souls. It's not Dark Souls. Let it be its own thing. Oh, even though, you know, the developers themselves have mentioned Dark Souls and compared their own game to Dark Souls. But no, let's go ahead and not do that ourselves. I think that's pretty funny. I don't know why, but I did want to talk about some of the gameplay. There are some things I have to say. I feel like my opinion has kind of changed a little bit after watching this, but so far when it comes to the area itself, it's a little demo. I really hope that this demo becomes playable sooner or later on PS4 and Xbox One, maybe even PC, before the game comes out, because this is a playable demo at TGS, Tokyo Game Show, which is currently going on right now. So by the way, if we're hoping for some From Software news, this might be the best option at the moment. I actually like the look of this demo little walkthrough more than the previous area. The other one did kind of seem more just made specifically for the people who were there, that did get invited, and enemies just seem kind of hectic and placed randomly. Where this, there is a little bit more thought, and I will say a little bit more thought put into it, I would say. So I don't know if it's just me noticing it for the first time, but I feel like the game does look a little bit more stiff. The enemies, I would say, feel like they are less phased by attacks, rather than having, you know, some type of system like in Dark Souls where even like medium-sized enemies would get staggered with stuff like straight swords, which this guy is clearly using in the video, which you do have different types of weapons. You know, you have straight swords, you'd have some axes that I've seen. I believe they have like halberds and stuff like that. So it is not just one certain type of weapon. But the stagger mechanics seem to work more along with combos, so after like the fourth hit, which does kind of encourage, you know, just spamming, which you do see this guy do a couple times, which is maybe why he was doing it. Instead of having more of a calculated thought going into it, thinking about stamina and him getting hit and the enemies not being phased, especially when there's multiple enemies. There being like 4 people, he would just spam away, get hit a bunch of times, and then die. But there is a chance they may be doing that on purpose. Basically to make room for bigger weapons, you know, have a place for them. Something that is going to be high damaging, slower, but is going to stagger basically almost any enemy, instead of having like one class completely dominate. But you do have different options, even for staggering. Whenever you even have the smaller weapons, you do see this big charged attack a couple times. He actually does it a fair amount. Looks like a really cool attack. You know, you have this claw out, and then it has a really far lunge, which I actually was pretty surprised about. I didn't think it would be that far. Then it does some big damage, knocks these enemies back, which is kind of weird because it's almost the exact same thing for every single enemy you'd imagine, right? Like you'd imagine maybe do more damage to one of these smaller ones, kill them immediately possibly. I feel like it does do a good amount of damage, but it should do more. It seems to be doing about 1200, usually around there for even the smaller enemies. Knocks them back. Exact same thing for the bigger enemies. I feel like it should be maybe like insta death for the smaller ones, but I guess if you could spam it, that wouldn't be great. But I do think it does look really cool. That's pretty much all I have to say about that so far. We get to see the new character, the little AI, Mia, I think her name is. I feel like she's kind of annoying, but I feel like also the exact same way for every single of the other AI characters. I think they are probably going to be much more of a bother than actually being helpful. They're helpful in terms of reviving you, like whenever you go down and die, I think you gain like 200 HP back. Character revives you. I don't know if that's infinite. I think that's only a couple times that happens. Doesn't seem like the smartest AI, but it does seem like a good distraction. It does shoot off a couple spells, and you obviously have different types of AIs. It would be really cool if an online co-op partner could take the form of Mia, rather than having it always be this computer. And I want them to be Mia, and I want to be Mia when I join Worlds. Only Mia. Now obviously another big thing, the enemies in the game. So far it seems like we have, I think we see like 3 different enemy types. Again, the game is still in development, it's fine, I'm sure they are still working on them. But at the moment, man, they have like no personality at all. They kind of just seem like meat bags that you beat on for a little while. There are a few exceptions, mainly among the bigger enemies, but they all kind of have the same exact moveset, at least for the smaller ones. Basically just spam away kind of like a crazy hollow, which does seem kind of boring. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you have those type of enemies in a game like Dark Souls. I like the bigger enemies because they do seem to have movesets that are something that you would have to kind of learn rather than just go into it and spam away. But I do think they still have time. They're in the process of developing it still. I don't even know when it's going to come out. Obviously it's next year, I just don't know when. Maybe even mid or late next year. So they have a lot of time to add new stuff, fix things that people might not like so far in the game. But either way, that is pretty much going to be it for me. It wasn't a bunch of gameplay. I heard that maybe we might get a boss this weekend, so if we get some boss footage, I'll upload that and talk about that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Code Vein video. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the gameplay and just, you know, I feel like my mind has kind of changed on this game just a little bit. It's gone down a little bit, but I'm still pretty hyped for the game. I think it looks cool, and I'm pretty excited for it. And I hope you guys are as well. But either way, leave a like if you did enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace, everybody.